Hello and welcome to Rockies Recap. My name is Steven. Right there is the co-host Tom. We hope you guys are having a wonderful week so far. The Rockies, they had a interesting series against the San Diego Padres, to say the least. The Rockies, they lose 2 out of 3 in San Diego, a place that they have played pretty well over the last year or so, especially when the Rockies won 7 straight back in the month of May. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that series tonight, and we're looking forward to it. And for those who are watching on YouTube and X, welcome on in. Glad to be here. Tom, how are you doing?
Good. It's glad to finally be back on the land of Elon Musk now. Kind of
Right.
stupid joke, but anyway, it's good we finally got that fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keeping an eye on potential history, not in a good way from my other favorite team, but other than that, it was a good series. It was not a bad showing in
Yeah.
San Diego, but all in all, it was good. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to Sunday, but game
Mhm.
one was good. It was kind of like the same old what we saw from the Rockies in May when they were you know playing really good baseball. We saw that in game one. Um, Let me pull that game up here. Yeah, again, like the Rockies, going into the series, they had won 3 of the first 4 series, playing a lot better competitive baseball, and it was really really good to see. And the Giants series really sucked. Sucked the air out of the team because the Giants have absolutely owned the Rockies. Let's be honest, in Oracle Park this year. But game one, Austin Gomber, who has quietly had one of the best years, arguably the best year in his career so far, and had a really good first half. He pitched another gem, on Friday against the Padres. Really, really good stuff, and it was fantastic. It really was fantastic. The Rockies offense, it scored runs. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers got his 8th home run of the year. That was cool to see. Rodgers is, again, he's an average hitter, and we talk about Rodgers a little bit in our newest article by Tom. Tom wrote it just the other day, and it's out now on our website. Go check that out on our website, and it's free to read. So go check it out. But yeah, awesome defense from Brenton Doyle. Made a home run robbery catch from former Rocky Jerkson Profar, and then not only that, but in Game 3, Brenton Doyle hit a home run to left field, and Profar tried to rob that one, but he was unsuccessful. But yeah, it was a great game. It was as I like to say, rock solid victory for the Rockies. Rogers went 3 for 4. Chris Bryant drove in 2 important runs that really helped the Rockies get the lead, hold on to the lead, and Victor Vodnik, your guy Victor Vodnik, he slammed the door for his 5th save of the year. So again, it was consistency and really good wins for the Rockies, where they didn't blow the lead. They kept themselves in the ball game. It was one of those really like, that's a really nice win, and it's something that you really like to see, especially for a young club like the Rockies, who are in a reconstruction period. It's something that you never not like to see. This is something that a lot of us has been wanting to see the entire season. It was one of the, even going back to the Angels series, it's been a nice period through a pretty dark season for the Rockies.
Sorry about that. I had a little issue with my mute button.
Oh, you're good.
Anyway, but yeah, real quick to everybody listening and watch, just spread the word. Go ahead and read my article. It's like I said, I talk about the deadline, what I believe took place to some of the guys who were on the process, who were on our trading block, and how I think the Rockies deserved a criticism. Ultimately, I did give them a D minus. I didn't give them an F because they made some trades, whereas some teams didn't even make any trades. So that's for that. Anyway, like I said, this was a good showing in San Diego. I did like the fact that the 3 stars in the series did good. Quantrill obviously had a tough time, especially he had an issue with some close calls on Sunday. But Gomber, I watched that whole game on Friday. He was fantastic. He was in command. He was being I like how it seemed like he was definitely, his release point was on, and when your release point is on for a pitcher, it's tough, and you keep the same arm slot like he does, and not, there's some pitchers that do obviously change their arm slot for their release, but Gomber, he just was fooling hitters. He did give up the 2 home runs, but that's it. That's okay. They were solo home runs, so Obviously, solo home runs don't hurt you, can't hurt you too much in the long run. But I always do love when he comes off the mound at the end of his start and he's got that intensity of "Let's go." I always love that intensity from him. All in all, that was a good game. And like you said, Bodnik, my guy, is save number 5. I love it. The thing, I was really bummed with Saturday's game. The Rockies, again, there was not a lot of traffic on the bases for either teams. The Rockies left 3 men on base. They were 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. And as you pointed out, you and I were texting back and forth. I can't remember exactly what you texted me, but Tanner Gordon, he was wonderful. I mean, he has had, I think he's only had 4. I think this was his 4th start, I believe.
Yeah.
Fourth, yeah. So and he's good. He's lowered his ERA to the tune of 6.75. So, and I think it was Thomas Harding mentioned in his article, he's going to get a chance. Yeah, next year he is going to get his chance to either be, I mean, pending what acquisitions and changes the Rockies make to the rotation, he'll have a shot to compete for the 5th spot in the rotation, or if not that, be the long man out of the bullpen. So that's good. And Sunday, again, you just got the 2 home runs from Doyle and Stallings, but ultimately that was just a kind of it was a game for a couple innings and then just
yeah.
But ultimately in this game there was some good defense. Brendan Rodgers had 2 really nice plays deep in the hole that he did make nice throws, and one of them Toglia had to kind of make a bit of a stretch to save, not really save the throw, but just kind of I guess I could say save the throw, but ultimately it was good. And should we just give Brenton Doyle the Gold Glove now? I mean, seriously. I mean, I commented that. Just give it to him. I mean, seriously. The guy, we've in Major League Baseball, we've seen some great defenders, but he is just, I don't know. He's just fun. He's one of those guys who, I'm a sucker for great defenders. He's just fun to watch. That was one great play that he made in right center field there. And Jake Cave, the People's Choice, People's Choice or the People's Champ. I don't know which one we're going with, but
man of the people. Yeah.
Man of the people. That will go. Yeah. He definitely was pumped up about it. So all in all, like I said, San Diego's a great atmosphere. That ballpark is always full because, like I said, that's their only pro sports team in that city anymore. I'm sorry, San Diego. I feel bad for you guys that you lost the Chargers, but again, it was good. So I wish we won Saturday, but all in all, it was a good showing. You can't win every series, but they played well enough to where this is a series loss that you can definitely recognize their effort. Good, that they gave a great effort, but again, effort doesn't win you ball games. But when you're a team trying to build for the future, that's what you want to see, especially out of your young, talented players.
Yeah, I will mention Brenton Doyle was, I think it was on the post-game show for Rockies TV, and somebody was talking to him about that catch, and he harkened back to 2017 World Baseball Classic in San Diego. Adam Jones, fellow center fielder, made that home run robbery catch against Manny Machado, who was going to be a Padre. I think he was still with the Orioles at the time. But if you watched the 2007 World Baseball Classic, you can always remember that highlight catch by Adam Jones in that exact area. And he mentioned that, I want to say he said that, he kind of looked up at Adam Jones a little bit. He was a pretty good, defensive center fielder for the Orioles for several years. And he kind of, reminded him a little bit about that. So I thought that was a really, really nice callback. But yeah, absolutely. Like Doyle, he's going to win the Gold Glove again. And I think, there's even a case that he could potentially win the Platinum Glove. I don't see why not. So MLB, if you're listening to this, do it. Just send him the Gold Glove right away. Just don't worry about the packaging. Just give it to him at the ballpark when the Rockies play the Mets tomorrow. Or
just start making the engraving for the plaque that goes on it
already.
Now.
Just do it. Yeah, I mean, they don't hand them out. I think until was it November? I think at some sort of special meal or something.
Oh no, a banquet dinner. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, banquet dinner. Yeah. So again,
I mean, he might
don't worry about that.
if he keeps hitting as well as he does, he might earn some consideration for a Silver Slugger.
Yeah, and speaking of Brenton Doyle and his offense, he won the National League Player of the Week. So not a week. He did that in early July, but he also won National League Player of the Month. So congratulations to Brenton Doyle. And I think there's only been, I believe, 12 Rockies in the history of the franchise that's been able to do that, win National League Player of the Month. The last Rockies player to do so was CJ Cron in 2021. So it's been 3 years. And when you can get into that company, that's pretty special. And Brenton Doyle, this is a guy that was barely hitting above the Mendoza line a year ago, and there were questions with his bat. He was getting overmatched at the plate, but there was power there. We saw that last year, and it just can he cut down the strikeouts? And yeah, while he's still striking out, he changed his approach over the offseason, and going to spring training, we saw something different. We went on Blake Street banner, and I mentioned how I believe that Britton Doyle was going to have a big year, and he has, and it's been very, very promising, very, very cool to see Doyle have a season like this. And I just think that if this continues to go, and if he can stay the course to where he's going, I think a extension is on the horizon for him, just like Tovar. And I think Jones is not too far behind, but again, you still have to be careful. Nolan Jones is, I think, at the moment rehabbing in Fresno, or at least over this past week he was rehabbing down there. So you hope that these guys can, like Tovar and Doyle, can kind of bring up the other guys that are coming up through the minor league system and kind of bring that excitement to a rebuilding Rockies team. And as we saw today over the last few days, we're starting to see guys getting called up or promoted to Double A and Triple A. Rockies number 4 prospect Yankiel Fernandez has been promoted to Albuquerque. I don't expect him to be there for very long, unless if something happens to where he's just not doing well, which I don't think will happen. I think he's going to do well, especially the power that he has. Gosh, and he was able to hit, pretty decently in Hartford, and Hartford is a well-known pitchers league, where they play in the Eastern League up there in Hartford. So I think Yankee will be fine. I think he's going to be okay. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a potential that he might make a debut later this year, for sure next year. But yeah, it's really exciting to see some of the core players come together, because Doyle, man, and Tovar, maybe even Jones, question mark. Those are the guys you're looking at to really turn this thing around. And not only those 3 guys, but I would argue and say Chase Dollander. And, we both talked about it before we started tonight. Chase Dollander, he's starting to settle into Double A over his last 3 starts, and he's starting to settle in. And I think he, has a chance to be a number 1, number 2 guy in that rotation in the next year or so. And again, I think the pitching is also a huge key for the Rockies to turn this thing around in Denver and to, get back to October, right? Yeah, and then I want to quickly mention, you talked about Tanner Gordon, and he pitched really well. Yeah, the result wasn't what we wanted. The Rockies lost that game 2-3, but Tanner Gordon, he's been, again, he was throwing a no hitter / perfect game going into the 5th inning against the Padres, and the Padres, they're in a wild card chase right now. As a matter of fact, I think they have the number 2 slot in the wild card spot right now. So they're a playoff team right now, and the Rockies, and they were competitive, right? And that's something that you really like to see, especially in game 2. Of course, game 3, we won't go into detail about that. It was ugly loss despite Doyle hitting another home run, his 19th of the year, and Stallings hitting that home run as well. But Tanner Gordon, going back to Tanner Gordon, pitched 6 innings, 1 hit allowed, 1 run allowed, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And that has lowered his ERA to 6.75. And I think the only rough start, I think, was against the Mets, if I get that correctly. I think it was against the Mets right before the All-Star break, when the Mets, they got like 3 or 4 home runs off of him straight. It was ugly, but ever since then, he's been good. Even his first game start against the Royals at Coors Field last month was pretty good to watch. So, and I really like Tanner Gordon. I think he's definitely a guy that could be a 5th, 6th rotation starter. I think that's where he lands at the moment. And there's even a case where he could be a bullpen. And but I really like Gordon in the rotation at the moment, especially with the Rockies, with Marquez still on the IL. Hopefully he should be back soon. I think he's doing a bullpen. So, but yeah, let Tanner Gordon pitch. He's been good. I think he's been fine. Strikeouts are there. He comes from an organization that that does pretty well with strikeouts. That's the Braves, and the Rockies were able to get him in a trade last year from Atlanta. So I really like Tanner Gordon. He looks really, really good. So yeah, it was one of those, again, series that the Rockies definitely could have had. I think definitely game 2 was a winnable game for the Rockies, but didn't go our way. And game 3, just forget about it. Head home. And I think if I look at the schedule correctly, this was the longest not homes, road trip of the series for the Rockies. So, and when you're on the road for 10 games for over like a week and a half, that can take a toll on you, especially. But again, you kind of get used to it after being at Coors Field. But now they're having to come back to Coors Field. That at least they have the day off today, so that's nice. But it just you really are now starting to go into the dog days of August and September, and kind of like last year, right? And we're going to see some more guys get called up and see their debuts, and so I'm just excited to see some of the younger players. Will we see Drew Romo? Will we see Yankee Fernandez? And with Jordan Beck, because we will mention too that Jordan Beck was activated off the IL just the other day, and the question is, with Yankee Fernandez getting the call up to AAA from Hartford, does that mean, and most likely will mean, that there's going to be a roster move tomorrow or over the next day or two? I would not be surprised. I think it's somewhat expected that Jordan Beck will be recalled back to the Major League club. So that's going to be fun. Jordan Beck, he had that little rough start, struck out quite a bit, but right before he got injured, when the Rockies were playing pretty good at baseball, he was starting to hit. He got those 2 home runs. His first one against the Padres in Petco Park, so that was awesome. So Jordan Beck, we're expecting him to get that call up. So and I guess before we kind of wrap the show up and we kind of look at the Mets series, let's talk a little bit about the 3 players that we acquired, and some of the roster move thoughts. So, Tom, you can go ahead and share your thoughts on that.
Well, we as I mentioned in my article, the one thing you think we try to target is pitching, because currently in our top 50, as I said again in the article, in our top 15 prospects, 4 are pitchers, and only got 1 pitcher in the top 10, and we all can guess who that is. Okay, Dollander. Yeah. He's now. I don't think Condon has officially not yet been added, so Dollander is still right now number 1. Yes, I just checked. Yeah, Condon has not been added just yet, but he will be soon. I can't imagine he won't be out of the top 5. But anyway, but like I said, we did acquire 3 pitchers. It was 2. Hold on. Yeah, 1 lefty, 2 righties. So Bradley Blaylock, the pitcher that we got from one of the pitchers that we got from the Brewers, he is in Hartford with Luis Peralta. They're both in Hartford. Blaylock joined the rotation. Peralta's in the bullpen. The 2 of them, all 3 of, and Herrera went to Spokane. All 3 of them are ranked in our top. Who is it? Herrera and Peralta are number 29 and 23 and 23 and 30 on our list, and Blaylock is number 22. Looking at them, they do have good pedigree, all 3 of them. Nothing extremely special stands out. They weren't, I mean, like I said, we weren't going to get any team's top-ranked prospect. We don't have the assets that would yield us that kind of a return. But like I said, these are 3 arms that do have potential. We can, who knows? Maybe we'll hit on one of them. That we're not going to hit on all 3 of them. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer by any stretch, but I'm just trying to be a realist when I say this. But there's a good chance that maybe none of them or only one of them reaches the major league. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. Blaylock is definitely making an adjustment to the Southern League, to the Eastern League, because with the Brewers, their AA team is in Biloxi down in the Southern League. So it's a completely different set of environmental factors down there. So he's definitely making his adjustments. His first start, he went 5 innings and he gave up 4 runs total, but 3 of them which are earned. So he's adapting. Peralta, he's a little interesting. He's kind of he's the only lefty that we got back. He's kind of short. He has a kind of between the over the top and sidearm release. He's already pitched since we acquired him. He's already pitched 2 innings, and not bad. He hasn't given up any runs, so far so good. Herrera, I haven't done too much research on, but in 1 start he also has is having trouble adjusting to his new team. He adjusting to Spokane, 5 innings and 3 earned runs in his first start. So again, like I said, we got what we were looking for. 3 arms to add to the farm system. They all rank on our top. All three rank on our top 30. So again, like I said, like I mentioned, our prospect top 30 is position player heavy in our top 15. So not to say we don't have any potential for the future. You know, we are known for developing pitching from within. So who knows? We'll see. But the good news is, Dollander, he's doing quite. He is living up. To, again, knock on wood.
Yeah.
There, he is definitely living up to. He's being billed as advertised.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to mention too,
Mm.
and this is not with Luis Peralta's, last couple of appearances with the Rockies, but Luis Peralta with the Altoona curve going into 2024 or up to the point where he was traded. He had played 26 games, pitched 26 games, 4-0 record, 0.91 ERA,
Mm.
39 and 2/3 innings, 64 strikeouts, and a whip of under 0.98. So very, I guess, funky left-handed delivery. I like it. And the
Mhm.
Rockies, they have done very well with guys like that. Carson Palmquist is like that. Sean Sullivan is like that. But this guy has breaking pitches that just completely falls off the table, according to different pages I've seen. And from Pirates fans. So this is a very intriguing guy to look at, and I'm excited. Again, the numbers look pretty good, and he hasn't really had any, outing, and of course they will probably come. Let's face it, to where he'll get blown out or get blown up, but he has the stuff to be a pretty nice piece to the, maybe the rotation. But I really look at him probably being a bullpen guy.
He will be.
I think that's what we're looking at.
Mhm.
And for the Rockies to get Jalen Beeks, and I know there's some comparisons with Jalen Beeks, Luis versus Luis Peralta, and they're kind of similar. I think Peralta is a little bit has a little bit more upside to it. Again, he's only 23 years old. Again, like you said, he's on the shorter side. He's 5'11", and he's 170, so he's a lighter guy. But you know what? I really like it. That was a good trade for the Rockies. And again, the one with the Brewers, again, we mentioned this, I think a couple weeks ago. It wasn't on our bingo card for Mears to get traded. I mean, he was one of the best, Rockies, if not the best Rockies reliever. And it kind of does make sense for the Rockies to move him. And, they were able to get 2 pitchers out of him. Right. And they were both solid, high talented pitchers, right? Blaylock, and those guys are going to be, starting pitchers, both Herrera and Blaylock. They're going to be starting pitchers as of right now. The Rockies could move them to the bullpen. But again, it looks like those guys. I know for like you said, Blaylock is in Hartford, but overall, those 2 trades that the Rockies made were good. It was nice. It was this is what we need, and like your article, in which I completely agree with, the Rockies, they could have done more, and it wasn't a horrible trade deadline for the Rockies, but at the same time, though, they should have and they could have done more. It's just that with Elias Diaz with his calf injuries, and teams were really looking for a catcher. Again, only 2 teams, or I should say, there were only 2 catchers that were moved during the trade deadline. So the catcher market wasn't heating up. It wasn't hot by any means. And the only one questionable one was maybe Quantrill. But again, according to Drew Goodman, he said on his recent podcast that the Rockies did not receive any good offers for Quantrill. They did receive offers, and but it sounds like the offers that they got in return were either not great, or were just like, you know what, we're just going to keep Quantrill. And you do, and like you mentioned in the last recap, you just don't want to trade a player just to trade a player, because who knows? I mean, you do have that concern because the Rockies, they've had problems with extending pitchers in the past, and the Rockies, they have said that they don't plan on extending Quantrill. So maybe they won't extend him, but maybe, again, he has a team option for next year. So maybe they will, I do think that he will stay next year. There's almost they're not going to let him walk again. He's still under team control through next year. Same thing with Brendan Rodgers. But with Quantrill, the Rockies, they'll need, if they still need time for Dollander, Sean Sullivan, Carson Palmquist, they can still have Quantrill as a guy to, hold up that rotation, and they can assess next year at the deadline what they want to do with Quantrill. And I would imagine that, if Quantrill's doing well, or if a team desperately needs pitching going, into the late months of the season, and going into October, they might need a guy like Kyle Quantrill. Where this year, it just the Rockies did receive offers, but just that the Rockies were like, you know what, we're going to keep Quantrill, for the rest of the year. Even though it kind of at first didn't make really much sense, it kind of does now, hearing that the Rockies did not receive any necessarily good offers for him. So, yeah, again, if you want to read the article, go check it out on our website. We should have a link on our X page. If not, go ahead to our Instagram. I know for a fact it's on our bio on our Instagram page. So go check that out. Read that article for free by Tom. Did an excellent job on that one. Again, we're looking forward for Patrick and Gabe to come out with some of their articles they have cooking up in the kitchen. So we're looking forward to that one. Yeah, so as we wrap up the show tonight, the Rockies are going to be at home finally after the long road trip out to California. The Rockies, they'll be starting a new homestand tomorrow night at 6:40, taking on the New York Mets. Excuse me, for a 3-game series. And game 1 starting tomorrow for the Rockies. Kyle Freeland, who has been rock solid ever since he's come back from the IL. And so far he's 3-4 on the year, 5.64 ERA. And we talk about the ERA, and you might be like, well, wait a minute, that's not really good. Well, you look at game 1, he got completely blastered. I love that word, by the way, by the D-backs offense, D-backs lineup. So Freeland, other than that, he's been good this year. And then you look at the Mets starting pitcher, Severino, in his first year with the Mets. It's very interesting how that all evolved in the offseason. With the Yankees and the Mets, he just crossed a little bit of part of New York, right? And he went into the other team with the Mets. He's 7-4 on the year with a 3.93 ERA. So that's going to be an interesting and fun matchup. There's actually a bunch of these, in this homestand. Blackburn, who got acquired by the Mets from Oakland, will be pitching for the Mets in game 2 against, I believe it's Ryan Feltner. Yes, Ryan Feltner will be Ryan Feltner will be starting game 2 for the Rockies. 1-10 with a 4.97 ERA. And this is weird, Tom, because you look at his ERA, it's like, oh, that's not too bad. Actually, one of the better Rockies pitchers, in terms of ERA on the team. But you look at the records, like, how'd that happen? And kind of like Tanner Gordon and Dakota Hudson, and a lot of the starts that those guys, including Ryan Feltner, have had, they don't get a lot of offense. And it's something that, we've seen a lot this year, and hopefully that changes. And then game 3, series finale against the New York Mets. I'm pulling that up here now. It looks like David Peterson will be on the mound for the Mets. He's 5-1 with a 3.47 ERA, and actually he's a Colorado native. So shout out to David Peterson. And I think he's actually pretty close friends with Kyle Freeland, so I hear. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, he'll be pitching back in his home state. He has 47 strikeouts on the year. So he doesn't have a whole lot of strikeout stuff, but he's a good ground ball pitcher, good ERA. And going up against him will be a fellow lefty, Austin Gomber, 3-7 with a 4.66 ERA, 84 strikeouts. So again, like, this is going to be a fun series. It's not like, oh boy, this is Justin Verlander pitching against. No, it's a really evenly matched pitchers, and it's going to be a fun one. Of course, the Mets, they're on that OMG vibe, with Jose Iglesias with his new song, pop song, and they're feeling that vibe. And the Mets, they're in the wild card race right now, and it would be nice to see if the Rockies can kind of, get the Mets off their tails here and try to get, maybe 2 or 3 wins here in the series. Because the Rockies, of course, they play better at Coors Field, and they've been doing so this year. So it'd be nice to see the Rockies, get some wins against the Mets, because after that, they have a pretty rough series against the Braves, who, of course, they've lost a couple games over the last couple days, but they have been playing a lot better. And then they head to Arizona to play the Diamondbacks, who are, again, look like they're trying to get back to the playoffs. So really, at this point, just trying to rack up some wins and create some confidence as we get into the next couple of series here. So, Tom, any final thoughts before we wrap up tonight as the Rockies get ready to play the New York Mets?
That should be a good series. Like I said, the Mets have been playing better as of late. Some guys particularly struggling, though. But again, The one thing I'm definitely like, of course, I like the Severino Freeland matchup, and like you said, it would be cool to see Freeland versus Peterson, the fellow Colorado natives, but
Mhm,
both lefties, by the way. But
mhm,
I'm looking forward mostly to that matchup of the lefties, Peterson versus Gomber. Peterson's a former first round pick back for the Mets in 2017. He's a good pitcher. He's got some good stuff, and he's having a fine year. So, and so is Gomber. So let's put the two lefties of the two, not the only two lefties, but two lefties matchup in Colorado, one of which is from Colorado. So I'm looking forward to that one. And like I said, the one thing I'm interested to see is how maybe I'm just because I'm keeping it's unfortunate. Maybe I'm just keeping an eye on him, but Edwin Diaz has been struggling this year. And I'm intrigued to see if he comes into the game, how many games is he pitching? Does he pitch in 2 games? Does he come in the 8th inning, the 9th inning? And also, how is he going with his struggles? Does it continue at altitude? How does he pitch at Coors Field? I'm really interested to see if how poorly or well he does. And if he does poorly, if he can't find his command, does
mhm.
our offense take advantage of it?
Yeah, his walks have really creeped up on him this year,
Way up,
way up. And
way.
he hasn't been the same since his injury, which is very
No.
disappointing. And I remember I mean, he still uses the song, but
Timmy Trumpet, yep.
yeah, yeah, Timmy Trumpet, he still uses that. It'd be kind of cool if the Rockies, I know they're opposing teams, but that they play it on the scoreboard. I listen to it. I'll admit, I listen to it occasionally. It's pretty cool. It would be kind of nice if the Rockies had one of those, but it's not the same as Edwin Diaz. But yeah, that's the thing that I feel like their bullpen is actually decently good, especially at the end of it with Edwin Diaz with his accolades. But again, like you said, his walks are up. He hasn't had a overall great solid year. I don't think he even made the All-Star team.
No.
So it's something that the Rockies can exploit and attack in this series. So take advantage of that. Because again, you're looking at another 100-loss season. The Rockies are. Let me look at their record here. They're 41-72 on the season. So you're 38, 28 games, something like 28 games away from 100 losses. So at this point, we've talked about it many times before. At this point, who cares if we lose 100? We were probably going to lose 100 anyway. And I know a lot of us is like, well, we don't want to see another 100 loss season. But again, it's just that there's something I learned last year. There's hardly any difference from a 99 loss team to a 102 loss team. It doesn't really matter about the numbers. You're still a bad team, right? So, if we lose 102 or 103 again, you know what? I'm fine with it. Do we suck? Yeah, I guess so. Do I hate losing? Absolutely. We all hate losing. But again, it's all about the progress and can we see light at the end of the tunnel with the guys that are coming. Again, we talked about it numerous times, but at this point, just try to build some confidence, momentum, because this Rockies team, there's been times this year where it just feels like this team doesn't have a lot of confidence. And I feel like, in the second half, like Jake Cave, he's mentioned, beat up on some of these teams, play spoiler baseball.
Maybe this will make us feel a little bit better. The Baltimore Orioles in 5 years, they had 3 seasons over 100 losses. Let me put it this way. 2018, they were 47-115. 2019, they were 54-108. Let's skip 2020 just briefly, 25-35. And then in 2021, they were 52-110. And then fast forward 2 years, well, they had an average year in 2022, 83-79, but last year they went 101-61, and now they're one of the best teams in the American League. They're in first place. They're tied for first, with the New York Yankees. So it goes to show you, if even when your major league team struggles, but if you do a rebuild right, you can lead to some sustained success. Because right now the Orioles, not only are they one of the best major league teams teams at the major league level, they still have one of the best farm systems in baseball. So so there's a little bit of so there's hopefully a little bit of optimism and hope for everybody listening to my voice.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I just the other night, right before I went to bed, I was like, I'm curious to see how the Rockies, minor league affiliates standing wise are doing. Hartford, they're really, really good, and you look at the record, 58-42. That's really, really good. That's something that you like to see, and that's progress, right? And was it Fresno or Spokane that their record is good as well?
I think it's Spokane, actually.
Yeah, let me check because I think Fresno was right around 500-ish.
Well, it's still good. Still good though.
It's still good though. I mean, again, you're in the San Jose Giants are in that same division in low A, But yeah, let me pull up here. Yeah,
Yeah. Hey,
Spokane 63 and 37.
there you
That's
go.
that's what you like to see. So Hartford, Spokane, and even and again, I know Albuquerque has been bad over the last few
Eh,
years,
they've
but
been, yeah.
Albuquerque's record is not too horrible. Again, it's still it's actually right around the Rockies record right now. But what you really like to see is Spokane, Hartford. Because I feel like a couple years ago it was Fresno and Spokane that were doing pretty well. Where now it's starting to go up to Double A and kind of creeping now, going to start creeping into Triple A, and that's something that is really important. That kind of tells you, hey, our system's getting better, and the Rockies are trying to build a team of winning, create winning and create a winning culture in the minor leagues, going up from all the way from Triple A all the way to Low A or ACL, or even the Dominican summer leagues too. The Rockies have had pretty good success down there in the Dominican Republic at their facilities to create good ball clubs. So yeah, I mean Spokane, Hartford, they keep doing their thing this year. Again, 63 wins is not too bad, and so that's something that again kind of gets you hopeful for the future, and that's a word that a lot of us Rockies fans haven't said in a very long time about the franchise. But there's definitely something there to build upon.
What was I gonna say? Oh, and I caught last several games. Albuquerque's had actually, I think also in recent weeks, Albuquerque, the Isotopes, they've had a couple of slugfests where they've had some really their offense just come alive.
Yeah.
Not to say the pitching is horrible, but it's just
Mhm.
it was what was it? I think it was against I think it was against the Las Vegas A, 50, no, 50, not A's, not the Las Vegas 51s. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
It
they're
was
the AAA affiliate of the A's.
yes,
Yeah.
I keep God,
A's.
I'm even though I'm a proponent of I don't think they're moving to Vegas. I don't think you're gonna get the Vegas deal done. I'm still
Yeah.
dang it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
John Fisher effect.
the Las Vegas 51s, I think they were
Yeah.
playing the 51s in
Yeah.
Vegas, I believe. And then I think this final score of the game is the Isotopes won. I think it was 17-13, I believe. Something
Hmm.
like it was a football score of some kind, I believe. But
Yeah.
they've got some good guys down there for sure. I mean, obviously the record isn't as good as Hartford and Spokane, but that's where most of, if I remember correctly, a majority of our top prospects are, which includes Chase Dollander. He's in Hartford.
Mm.
And of course he's doing quite well. I mean, you and I talked about in the pre-show meeting, he's doing well there. I mean,
Mm.
if he keeps pitching like he is, and all things considered, nothing goes horribly wrong, he could be a fast track guy. I mean, who knows? I mean, again, I mean, hot take, he could make his debut next season.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
I
I'm
agree.
not really, I'm not, and like I said to you earlier, I'm not saying he's Paul Skeens where he just completely skips AAA altogether and just lights up the major leagues. I'm not saying he's Paul
Mhm.
Skeens by any stretch, but you never know. He's showing, hey, I can, I can be of use to you guys. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But again, we'll wait. Let's wait and see. But
Mhm.
he's doing great in Harper, which is good to see.
Yeah. And we will mention this too. No word on Charlie Condon because I know
Mm.
some of you out there on the Instagram world, especially, have DM'd us about Charlie Condon. Um, I think last time I heard something in the bushes, I think I'm hearing Spokane. It would make sense because a lot of guys, because I just found out today, and I think it's some of the Royals beat reporters were tweeting this out today that Jack Caglione is heading to High A, to their High A team. So I suspect it's going to be same for almost a Dylander, for Charlie Condon. He's probably going to head to Spokane very very soon. Again, there's been pictures released on X. The Rockies draft picks this year. They're at the facility in Arizona getting ready, and so really it's all about assigning. And I think now with Fernandez getting promoted and all these other Rockies minor leaguers getting promoted to these different facilities and different affiliates, we're going to start seeing those guys go up to Fresno and Spokane, and I think majority of them will go to Fresno and kind of restock that team as players move up through Spokane and then Hartford. But yeah, I think for sure Condon is going to go to Spokane. And one thing that will be kind of cool to watch is in the fall, for the minor league postseason, how Spokane's going to do. I'm really, because that team could do damage really in High A. So and if you add Condon to that lineup, watch out. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I think that'll do it for tonight's Rockies recap. Again, for those who are watching, thank you for watching here on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. And we got a little bit of exciting news, breaking news here. So, um, as some of you might listen to our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, well, we're excited to announce that this Rockies recap will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And that will be actually kind of connected to the podcast, but will be kind of different, if that makes sense. So, again, you'll be able to find it on wherever you listen to your podcasts. So if you don't want to watch on YouTube, you can go on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, listen to that. So that'll be pretty cool. So again, go check us out there. And again, if you haven't seen our newest article, Tom wrote it out. It came out today, this morning, actually. Go check it out on our website. Link should be on Instagram in our bio section. And it's also available on our X page right on our feed. So go check that out. And also on Threads too. We post there on there as well. Yeah, just make sure you follow us on Instagram for Rockies content. We're the #1 Rockies page on Instagram. So thank you all for the guys for that. If you follow us on Instagram, thank you so much. If you haven't already, go follow us there. What are you doing? Don't keep yourself. Go follow us there. And follow us on Twitter and Threads as well. Once again, thank you so much for watching tonight's edition of Rockies Recap. With Rockies Now, hope you guys have a great Monday. Is it Monday? Yes, Monday. My days are off. I don't know why. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Stay safe out there. And as always, go Rockies.